Hello, it's Ren Presents time. I'm your host, Ren. It's 1 in the morning, and welcome to the Belmont Saga, Part 2, Chapter 18, the Paymaster Solution. So last week, Paymaster Stenstrom, after being basically a hermit / recluse at his first year of college, was entreated by his girlfriend / fiancée, Lillian of Gamboa, to reach out, make friends, and being a shut-in at Belmont Manor for most of his life, Stenstrom really has no idea how to go about doing this. But never fear, Lilly says she had made some inquiries on his behalf, and that he should not go out of his way to be unsociable. While studying for an exam, meets a couple of odd genteel types in the library, and they invite him to come to their secret society / club off campus, and they say it'll be a night of intrigue and feats of mind and body to please the soul. Though initially uninterested, Stenstrom goes, and it is a posh residential estate off the campus with a Oculus in the center. He goes in and is taken immediately to the Sanctum Sanctorum, where he is put to the test and believes that these people are trying to kill him with a giant alien spider from Onaris, and then poison gas in the dungeon. However, he finds out the spider is just a robot, the gas is just a harmless sedative, and he joins the Bones Club. He finds he enjoyed himself and enjoyed the theatricality of the place, and joins it and makes a friend and lover in Lady Alatrix. So let's proceed immediately to Chapter 18, the Paymaster Solution. So one of the questions that was asked earlier by Lord Aram, you remember Aram, way long ago in the first part of the book, is questioning why didn't Lord Belmont just join the fleet? Why did he become a paymaster? He has all the tools required for success in the fleet. His dad is a fleet captain, and that's a big deal. He's got tons of cash. And don't ask me where the cash comes from. I've never bothered to puzzle that out. He just comes from a rich family, he has lots of money, and there it is. I don't know where it comes from, and I really don't care. Frankly, it's irrelevant. Also, he has a sponsor in Captain Davidge, and he has massive programmability with the sisters. He has the Pell programmability, which is legendarily high. So, with all those things, he should be a shoo-in to go in the fleet. So why did he just go into the fleet? Well, we know his mother hates the fleet, is worried that he'll die in space, that her husband, Lord Stenstrom the Older, will die in space, and she wants his ass on the ground, and even put a knife in his chest, making him swear you will never join the fleet as an officer or a crewman. But there are ways around everything. So we're going to find out exactly why he chose the Paymaster route, why he chose to be a knock-kneed clerk. We're going to find out right now. This isn't a very long chapter, and then we'll be through it, and we'll soon be out of part 2 of the book, which is a big long book, but we're getting there. And then we'll be back with aboard the depowered Cold Seeker with Aram and Private Tara, if you remember those two from long ago. Anyways, let's proceed immediately. Part 2, Chapter 18, the Paymaster Solution. Stenstrom had cast aside all of his old inhibitions. He'd gone his whole life with virtually no friends. His parents and his 2 youngest sisters were all the people he knew. Thus far, in the Bones Club, he found himself being liked, accepted, and he functioned as a vibrant member. He often invited his sisters Virginia and Lyra to the club meetings, and was delighted when they were able to come, for seeing the 2 of them mingling and enjoying themselves made him feel good. As Lilly had hoped, he was finally enjoying himself out every evening with his new friends. Lady Alatrix being his closest. And his encounter with the astral traveler was a mere distant memory. His various warnings and protections went unused. All the old baggage he carried with him was, for the most part, gone, except for one thing. Many members of the club often arrived at 22 Stang wearing brand new fleet uniforms, they having been newly admitted. Stenstrom looked at them, wearing the fine blue coats and hats he knew so well, and all of his old dreams returned. His desire to soar the stars and see what was there had never really left him, just been beaten into place by a knife in his chest. Listening to his friends chatter about what ship they had joined and where they were going made him maudlin, sometimes even angry. What was he to do? A knock came at the door of his apartment. Stenstrom had quit 22 Stang early that evening, feeling rather sorry for himself as he listened to Lord Wills of Narrow talk about shipping out on the fleet scouting ship Centerville at term's end. He felt rather jealous. He assumed it was Alatrix come to see what was wrong with him. Stenstrom opened the door, and there was Lilly, elegant in her pink Gamboa gown and parasol. "Hello, Belle," she said, all smiles. Stenstrom hadn't expected her, but, as usual, Lilly came and went as her whims dictated, and she was always welcome. They embraced warmly in the hallway and then kissed. "Is this a bad time?" she asked. "Is your little puppy dog here?" "That is not a nice thing to say, Lilly." "No, I suppose it isn't. I'm sorry." They sat down and caught up. He told her that he now had many friends, mostly from the Bones Club, that Lilly had suggested he join. He told her about the dark, posh confines of that exclusive club where he did many silly things, and that the other in the group thought were shocking. "Look," they gasped, "look what he just did." And the sisters would be outraged. Lilly clapped and listened, glad her Belle was making friends and enjoying himself. The Bones Club, though a bit off-putting at first, is a fine club to be in. All of the best people belong to it. You'll find wherever you go, you'll have friends from the club waiting for you. I knew you would spread your wings there. Still, he couldn't hide anything from Lilly. "You outwardly appear to be in fine spirits, but you can't hide anything from me, Belle. I can tell something is troubling you. Tell me, please. I'm here just for you." Stenstrom laughed and shook his head. "Oh, nothing goes past your notice, does it? Just silliness, really. I saw some of my friends at the club had joined the fleet. They were wearing their newly fitted uniforms and discussing the ships they were soon to join. I felt left out. I felt jealous. I don't know, Lilly. Sometimes I have thoughts of clearing out of school altogether, leaving Cana and heading to who knows where." He laughed. "I'm sorry, I'm just dreams I used to have." They stepped into the apartment, Lilly hugging him tightly. He could hear her heartbeat, and he thought it an odd chain. Alatrix drawing strength from him, and he drawing strength from Lilly, one person feeding on the next. Lilly was the perfect tonic for his soul. With a fresh dose of Lilly, he could go on, do his schooling, entertain his new friends, and become the dreary, landlocked man his mother had envisioned for him. That evening, Lilly put an odd seed in his head. They'd finished the fine meal that Stenstrom had brought in from the kitchens of the Bones Club. Room service, she had another perk of membership, and asked if Lilly wanted to step out to see Byrne, possibly enjoy a theater, or go to 22 Stang and sit. Instead, they fell into each other's arms and retired to his bedroom. "So, just who is this Lady Alatrix?" Lilly asked as they lay together in the dark, entwined. "A friend," Stenstrom said in return. Lilly considered the thought. I did tell you you are free to seek your heart. Still, cannot help but feel a little jealous, she said. That girl certainly didn't seem to be up to your level. I almost thought to challenge her. Challenge her? You mean to a duel? He was alarmed. Yes, but don't worry. I'm not going to hurt her. She is a fine person and I cherish her friendship. So, if you feel that strongly, are you prepared to end this 5-year experiment, Lilly? She thought about it. Well, frankly, I am a bit put off, but our experiment shall continue. How could you ever take me seriously should I do such a thing over a bland little person like Lady Alatrix of Zama? Stenstrom was shocked. Zama? Did I mention she was of the House of Zama? I don't recall doing so. You didn't. I make it a point to know your doings. I might warn you that girls from Onaris might diminish your house, should you choose to pursue her further. She claims she is of the Hoban Zamas, not the Onaris Zamas. She is lying. Stenstrom tried to disengage, but Lilly held him fast. I'll pose you a question that you once asked me, Lilly. Are you enjoying this time apart? Are you seeing anyone? He asked. I'm not really looking. Are you wasting your 5 years? These are the years you asked for. Remember? Yes, I remember, but I'm not going to go out of my way to find somebody else either. I never meant for these 5 years to serve as a replacement for you, Belle. I simply wanted to see if, in the natural course of events, something else came along. So far, nothing has. She tried to change the subject. How are your studies coming along? Fine. I'm not really interested in studying accounting. I'm sure you know that. I listened to you this evening, lamenting your friends, lamenting the fleet. If you wish to soar the stars in a fleet ship so badly, Belle, then why don't you? You know full well why. That door has been shut to me. Lilly jumped out of bed and went to the desk. Her slender, naked body glistened in the pearly moonlight coming in through the window. Where are you going? He asked. She turned on the hollow terminal and rejoined him in bed as a carousel of lights began jumping out of it and swirling around the room. You know, Belle, if you have any faults, I'd say one of them is too heavy a reliance on conventional thinking. Conventional thinking? In some ways, you're the fastest thinker I've ever seen, when properly tasked and motivated. In other instances regarding your mother, like this one, you are guilty of very uninspired thought. There are ways around everything, if you want something badly enough. She paused a moment, her face full of longing. Look at me. There is something that I want very badly, and I am currently taking steps to see that I get it. Oh? And what is that? She reached out with her foot and manipulated the holographic glyph controls. Let's focus on you for the moment, Belle, and not worry about me. Shall we? Let's see. She worked the floating glyph with her foot, moving it about. Soon a banner popped up. What do you have there? Stenstrom leaned over to look at it as it danced around the room. It read, IBANA, Interstellar Brotherhood of Bars, Attorneys, Actuaries, Notaries, and Accountants. What's this? The IBANA. I think my mother's mentioned something about this organization. I truly had no interest. You should listen to your mother in this case, Belle. The IBANA is your ticket to the stars, she said happily. And more than that, it's your ticket to glory. Stenstrom sat up from bed and looked at the banner. It was a dry, uninteresting posting. He saw nothing of glory or honor in the drab, businesslike construction of the hollow. Bars, actuaries, notaries, attorneys, good creation. All right, Lilly, out with it. What's on your mind? If you peruse the rather dry subject matter of this posting, you'll see that all sorts of occupations are covered by this society, including this one. Let's see. She highlighted a notice with her foot, and it jumped to the forefront. Stenstrom squinted to read it. Fleet Paymaster? Yes, indeed, she said with a hint of triumph. Sounds impressive, doesn't it? Fleet Paymaster. I've been doing some research. Every fleet vessel manning 50 or more souls is required by rule to carry a paymaster. A paymaster is basically a third party who arbitrates the disbursements of funds to the officers and crew. The paymaster also ensures that all parties entitled to pays from the vessel in question are properly and timely compensated. It sounds like a do-nothing to me. Well, that's what it is, Belle, but it's a shipboard do-nothing. You'd be on a ship, but you wouldn't be in the fleet. Officially, you'd be a shipboard civilian. See? You've got to learn to be sneaky. Stenstrom thought about it, and the notion began to take flight in his head. My father's never mentioned anything about a fleet paymaster before. It's not a prestigious thing, and your father being ship's captain probably never really dealt with the shipboard paymaster much. It's more of a clerical thing, probably something the bosun or the first officer had to deal with most of the time. Lilly, you really sound like you know what you're talking about. I always make it my business to know what I'm talking about. Stenstrom began reading the notice. His promise to his mother stated he would never, ever join the fleet as either an officer or a crewman, and she'd updated the promise over the years. She'd added the Stellar Marines, the Merchant Marines, Space Traders, and Astro Tenders. Anything she had heard of requiring frequent space travel, she knifed out of him. And there was one thing she had knifed into him: accountant. But all of his promises failed to include a shipboard civilian accountant. Mother hadn't thought of that. Perhaps Lilly was on to something. He continued to read, saw the requirements, and his heart sank. No, Lilly, look here. You didn't read carefully enough. To be a fleet paymaster, you have to be a freaking attorney. Ah, Belle, it appears you didn't read carefully enough. True, most fleet paymasters are attorneys, but if you read here, she pointed at a line of text with her foot, an accountant of 10 years or more tenure with experience in public financial arbitration may also qualify as a fleet paymaster. I mean, to do this job, all you need is a pulse, an impartial mind, and a bit of bookkeeping skills. Stenstrom snorted. Lilly, I'm not even graduated yet. I have 0 tenure, and I've never arbitrated a public financial deal. Lilly kissed him on the cheek. Again, Belle, think creatively. Your lack of experience and tenure is nothing that a few Belmont sesterces placed snugly in the right pockets won't fix. Come on, Belle. Are you so innocent you won't up and bribe a fellow or two? A good, well-thought-out bribe can be a noble thing. Stenstrom sat up and thought about it. Bribe someone? In all of his wranglings with his mother and their game of brinksmanship, he had never considered trying something underhanded or unethical. In his mind, the only way to play the game was to play above the board. I can't bribe somebody, Lilly. That's unethical. Lilly pulled him back down and lay on top of him. Oh, what a virtuous young man you are, Belle. Consider this, though. Great men are often self-made. There are no great self-made men lacking an unsavory component somewhere in their makeup. If you can make your way through life and say that the worst thing you did as a young man was bribe a fellow or two, simply so you might have the opportunity to start your career and live your dream, then that's saying something. There are worse things you could do, Belle. Stenstrom, feeling Lilly's weight on top of him, thought it over. You not think ill of me? No, Belle. Would you think ill of me? Should I tell you some of the things I've done? What things? Just things, Belle. So, will you do it? She held on to him tightly. Stenstrom fought with the thought for a bit more. A bribe. What reputable gentleman would succumb to something as pedestrian and poorly thought out as a bribe? Then I would avoid dealing with a reputable gentleman and confine your activities to the disreputable ones. And where are they? I would say in a place where anything goes if you have the coin to make things happen. Calvert. Stenstrom lay there under the heat of Lilly's body and watched the posting swirl around the room. A fleet paymaster. And with that, we conclude Part 2, Chapter 18, The Paymaster Solution. So there it is. Lilly, as she has done a lot in his life, steering his activities, her suggestion he went to school. At her suggestion he joined the Bones Club. And now, at her suggestion, there's a way around his mother's blood promise. Because his mother, despite the fact she's apparently a powerful sorceress that can stick knives into you, only knows what she's heard from her social circles that she inhabits. Someone says, well, if you're in the fleet, you're either a Marine or you're an officer. So she goes, she plunges a knife into his chest and says, okay, you're not going to ever be a fleet officer or a fleet crewman. God damn it. Do you understand? She never fathomed that there are plenty of civilians running around on fleet ships. When I was in the military, there were lots of civilians here and there doing this and that. Civilians are an important part of the military. And the fleet paymaster, who's basically a bean counter and paycheck disperser, is a civilian, an attorney in most cases. But you can be an accountant and do the job if you have enough tenure. Although Stenstrom doesn't have any tenure, Lilly's like, well, go to Calvert. And Calvert is kind of a unsafe, by Canaan standards, it's an unsavory place in the southern continent by the sea, east of the great Armenelos Forest. It's just a little spit of land. Lord Aram is from Calvert. And as we recall, the Fiend of Calvert is from Calvert. It says, go there. There's a lot of unreputable sorts. You can grease them with coin, and they'll write for you all the tenure you want. You can declare yourself the king of Planetfall, and they'll give you a stamped piece of paper declaring as much. So, Lilly, once again, gives him a bright idea, and using the Ibana Brotherhood that his mother had wanted him to join, but he previously didn't care about, that is a viable route to the stars. A fleet paymaster, a civilian, even though the paymaster is basically a clown, or considered that on a ship. He gets the incoming pay, he disperses it to all the fleet, or to all the officers and the crew, and then if the ship owes somebody any money, he makes sure that they get paid. It's mostly the width and breadth of his job. So, the paymaster solution is now firmly planted in his head by his adoring girlfriend, Lilly. And Lilly reveals herself to be even more jealous and controlling than we had previously saw, that she's been looking into Lady Alatrix and even wanted to challenge her to a duel at one point, kind of doing an about face on her 5-year promise. And then she tells Stenstrom, I've done some things that you wouldn't be too proud of if you knew. And she wouldn't answer. He said, well, what things? And she wouldn't answer. She just changed the subject. So moving on, a very short chapter, as I promised. Next week, Part 2, Chapter 19, Flight from Bern. So this will be the final. I had said there was just 2 chapters of his college career. I guess there's actually 3.5, I guess, the last one. And then the next one, Flight from Burn, where he graduates. And then, like his sisters before him, it is finally his turn to run from his mother and avoid all the various devices, machinations, and black maidens that she can throw at him. His sisters have all had their turn running from mother, and now it's his turn. So we will check that out next week, part 2, chapter 19, The Flight from Burn. So until then, this is Ren Presents. I am your host, Ren. Peace out.